Well, this Greek economic tragedy getting more attention in America because our debt may be on the same road to the same chaos. And it's happening as the super committee is in its final stages for making recommendations to cut our debt. Now, Gardner of the Heritage Foundation says unless those members think big, we will soon be facing the same fate as Greece. But Ann Lee of Demos says that's nothing more than scare tactics from the right. They both join us now. Niall, you think we're on the path to Greece. Make your case.
Well, I think that unless things are reversed here in the United States, you could be facing a Greek-style scenario within 5 or 10 years here in the United States. After all, at the moment, the national debt in America is 70% of national economic output. In Greece, it's around 120%. Could this scenario happen here in the United States? Absolutely. We've seen decades of overspending, excessive government borrowing in Europe. We have seen many years of over-regulation of businesses, of the free market in Europe. We're now seeing a financial calamity, not only, of course, in Greece, but potentially as well in Spain, Portugal, Italy as well. Several countries in Europe are facing financial collapse. So we are seeing really the European project going down in flames, and the United States has to avoid the mistakes that have been made by Europe.
I was tempted to say those countries that John Corzine bet on, but I will resist the temptation. All right, Ann, why is Niall wrong?
The U.S. is fundamentally different than Greece in that Greece is part of a Euro project. They have to follow the rules of the Maastricht, or basically what the other countries will allow them to do. The U.S., as the world's reserve currency, has an ability to continue to print its way out of its debt if it chooses to. And
at a cost.
Yes, but there is no agreement from any economist or anyone in history to say this is our limit in terms of debt. We can look at Japan. They have even more debt on their books than we do, and their economy continues to grow, and their citizens enjoy a high standard of living.
But Ann, let me just put it to you that the Prime Minister, yes, he just succeeded in getting confidence from the Parliament, but just barely. And when he was voted into power in 2009, the thing that led to the first Greek crisis was his announcement that the budget deficit would reach 12.7% of GDP. Guess what our budget deficit is? I mean, we are going on the same path that Greece went on beginning back in 2009, just 2 years ago.
Well, the risks are that if there is an alternative world reserve currency in the future, yes, then we will become like Greece. But that is far from happening anytime soon. So in the meantime, we have lots of room to make adjustments. We can continue to incur debt, and we do at an amazing rate through all the military interventions we have. And so we are not constrained the same way that Greece and other countries are.
Because they don't have the currency. But the fact is, Niall, that there is a price. Whenever we print more money, I mean, we do have a price. When we go to the grocery store or try to fill up our car, we realize what that price is by printing currency.
Yeah, you can't get yourself out of this financial crisis by printing money. I mean, that's an absolutely crazy solution to the problem. You have to rein in the government spending, and the debt the United States is facing, the largest debt certainly since World War II. In fact, 3 times as high as the debts faced in World War II at a time of global war. This is a monumental problem for the United States. You simply have to cut government spending, reduce the size of the federal government. You have to basically also free businesses to enable them to create jobs, create wealth and prosperity. And this idea that the national debt here in the United States is not serious is simply laughable.
Well, and the fact is that another thing that was laughable was the president's budget. When he came out with his budget about a little less than a year ago, it had virtually none of the cuts that are necessary to get our budget in line.
Well, like I said, in the long term, the U.S. should be concerned about runaway deficit spending. But in the short to medium term, I don't think the United States needs to worry about it.
Don't these things have a way of snowballing very quickly, though, as they did in Greece? Again, 2009, This same guy, George Papandreou, won overwhelmingly the election, and look what it's come to now in just 2 years.
I cannot disagree that events can change rapidly, and therefore the United States should think about how they want to get their fiscal house in order. But we are far from the situation of Greece and other European nations, simply because we have the luxury of having the world reserve currency, which they don't. Our banker is the Federal Reserve. So as long as the Federal Reserve continues to buy Treasury debt, there is no limit to how much debt the United States can choose to print.
Niall, what do you think the time frame is here? You think we're going to hell in a handbasket? How soon?
I think by the end of this decade, if things are not fundamentally reversed, the United States is going to be in a deeply serious situation. You could be facing financial collapse here in the country unless you turn around this big government agenda, which is extremely dangerous.
But I'm going to press you. I'm going to press you on a time here, Niall. How much time is it going to happen? Are we facing the red zone before the election or not?
Let's face it. We need to be acting right now with regard to saving the future prosperity of the world's only superpower. We don't have time to waste here, and I think that President Obama's budget plan is absolutely farcical, frankly. He's added nearly $4 trillion to the national debt in the last few years. And this is a president who is spending with reckless abandon, without any thought for the future of this great country.
I started with you, Ann. Quick last word. Go ahead.
Well, I also want the U.S. to prosper in the future. And like I said, it does need to think about the long term. But in the short to medium term, we don't have the same constraints that the European nations face.
Ann Lee, Niall Gardner, good to see you both. Thanks very much.